In a recent interview with the developers of Final Fantasy XVI, the question came up about diversity in the game. Because in 2022, of course, some journalist has to ask about diversity. Well, for anybody who knows, Final Fantasy XVI is a game that's going back to the series' roots. Something akin to what you see on screen right here with Final Fantasy I, the PC version of the Pixel remaster. So it's going back to a medieval Europe-inspired setting. And the devs basically said this. Apparently, this is controversial. It shouldn't be, but it is. Now, as a black person, African-American, person of color, whatever you want to prescribe to me, I see no problems with this. In fact, I actually look forward to this, because I like this series a lot. And I understand its historical context. I love history. Let me make something very clear here. The types of people who are getting upset about this are not gamers. And they never were. Gaming is just a popular platform for them to try and enact quote-unquote social change. In a couple of years, possibly sooner, you will see many of these people disavow gaming. You'll see articles coming out why gaming was never cool, why I never liked gaming. I guarantee you, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Because all it is, to them, is politics. It is influence. They are trying to buy influence. That's why they are demanding games and other forms of entertainment be more diverse. Things with established audiences. They want to influence people to think and feel a certain way. And in their mind, everybody has to be quote-unquote represented. It is highly insulting to me as a black person, again, hate using the qualifier, that I have to be told that in order for me to like a character, they have to look exactly like me. And even then, they don't look exactly like me, or they look similar to me in most cases. It is insulting to my intelligence. Look, it's medieval Europe. Deal with the fact that it was majority white. Almost exclusively. I've seen people on Twitter who are like, no, well, you know, technically. Well, I don't care about technicality. I care about historical accuracy. In historical accuracy, it was predominantly white. Many people hadn't even seen a black person. Not because of racism, but because of geography. Folks, this is not a controversy. Not at all. But they are trying incredibly hard to make it one. This is a franchise that has been running for a very long time. This is a franchise whose very beginnings were troubled. And it has grown into a wildly successful series that has not been without legitimate controversy, mind you. But seeing it going back to its roots is a very exciting thing. Not too crazy about things I'm hearing about it being potentially a PlayStation exclusive for a couple months and that sort of thing. But that's another video for another day. My main point being, this stuff doesn't matter. I am so sick and tired of this push for quote-unquote diversity, which basically means less white people. That is racist. You're just trying to force something. And this isn't done with the well-being of minority people in mind. This is being done as a platform. This is self-imposed guilt on behalf of a lot of these people. They feel guilty for things they never did. They weren't involved in slavery or Jim Crow. But their professors and whoever else was influenced over them told them that they need to feel this way. So they need to have this overly repentant attitude and start pushing people up as if people being a minority makes them somehow better than the rest of humanity. It's ridiculous. These attitudes are absurd. Now, you're going to see people try to say, well, you know, Final Fantasy has had, you know, diverse characters. They've had black characters. Which, by the way, diversity is just code for black at this point. Many people have brought up, they don't talk about how there's a need for quote-unquote Asian representation or Middle Eastern representation or any of these other people groups. And I say quote-unquote not because these people don't exist, but because they like to put people in boxes and say these people need to be represented more than they realistically would be. As if it is 21st century America in these settings. And it's not. This is not 21st century America. That's not what this setting is, or really has been in its majority. It's been largely medieval Europe. Barring that, it's been a fictional, more futuristic steampunk setting. But these people, they've got this mindset that everything has to look like their view of the world, which is just this extremely multicultural melting pot where everybody just loves each other, which is not even indicative of the real world, not even in America. There's a reason that countries have borders and are separated from each other and fight wars with each other. When you ask everybody to just get along regardless of anything, I'm all for peace. I'm all for people getting along. But you cannot force people together and then force them to get along. That's not human nature. People have different ideas. They have different perspectives. They have different worldviews. They have different beliefs. Some of those they can put aside for the sake of civility. Others are the core of who they are. And you can't ask them to just lay all of that aside for the sake of quote-unquote diversity. It's not right. You have to respect people's individual ideas. Or at the very least, if you disagree with those individual ideas, you have to respect the fact that they are free to hold those ideas. Otherwise, you don't want a free world. You want a world with peace at all costs, which is dangerous in and of itself, and very contradictory. This whole thing is just ridiculous. But it's been going on for years, and the only reason I'm making a video about it is because I've seen so much about it lately, and I'm so sick and tired of hearing people constantly trying to dictate what other people do with their stories in entertainment. You know, I made a video a little while back talking about my problems with modern entertainment. This can sort of tie into that. You gotta let people make the stories they want to make with the characters they want to make. They don't need to fill quotas to do that. But they'll try to say if they don't fill those quotas that suddenly that they hate the people that they're not using to fill the quotas. Which again is absurd. Just because the writers and directors of Final Fantasy XVI are choosing not to include multiple races in their games does not make them racist. Let me ask you this. They didn't include Japanese people in the game. Does it make them racist against their own people? No. You can create a story in a very specific setting with very specific groups of people. And it's perfectly okay. It is not reflective of your views of people in real life. It's reflective of reality and history. And the fact that so many people don't get this or refuse to even try to understand this is really bad. It's bafflingly ignorant. It shows that most people don't pay attention during history class, at the very least, which does not surprise me, at least in the American public school system. But this is tiring, because at every corner, you're starting to see this with new media too, stuff that gets praised. You're starting to see people come out and say why this popular thing is problematic. You don't have to look far to find those kinds of articles all over the internet. Why this popular piece of media is great, but here's why it's a bit problematic. And even with the Final Fantasy XVI controversy, they're starting to do this too. They're like, oh, well, we think it'll be fine, but here's the reason why their response to the question is problematic. It's basically the Kotaku article. Gosh, Kotaku is the worst. It's no surprise to me that they're hemorrhaging money. So you're not allowed to enjoy something because it doesn't contain these elements, or it contains very specific elements, and people with a hyper-politicized worldview are reading in between the lines stuff that isn't there. It's ridiculous. Also, what's ridiculous is that these people feel like they have the gall to speak for someone like me. That somebody like me needs to have somebody that looks exactly like them on the screen to be able to enjoy something. That is so stupid, I can't even... It gives me a brain aneurysm. It's ridiculous. Just let people create what they want to create, and you choose whether you like that thing or you don't. But you don't get to go on a soapbox and tell people why they are morally inferior for not seeing the world the way that you see it. Especially not the developers of a beloved series. Who don't care about these superficial things. They're just trying to tell a simple story. But it doesn't contain the elements that they want, so they're racist. It's so mind-numbing. I'm so tired of it. I just want to enjoy games and entertainment. And these people are trying to make it hard. But don't worry, these people, they're not going to last. Because if they keep this stuff up, and we're already seeing signs of this, if they keep this stuff up, eventually they're going to start to get ignored and denied interviews. And people are just going to start laughing at them. People have been laughing at them. But they haven't gone away. They've stuck around for long periods of time. But I think it's important that people who are real gamers start to really step up and decry this nonsense. And just call these people out for the fakes that they are. Because that's what they are. They're fakes. They're intruders. They're not here to enjoy the hobby. They're here to nitpick it. They're here to dissect it and try to rebuild it in their own flawed image. Games can tell whatever stories they want. And if they don't tell the story you want them to tell, you're not entitled to try to coerce them into making them do that. That's what this feels like. It feels like they're trying to coerce the devs of Final Fantasy to make something more akin to their tastes. Without bothering to ask, does anybody else even care? It's selfish, narcissistic behavior. And it's not new. I'm not making this under any presumption that any of this behavior is new. This has been around for at least a decade or more. It's a part of this ongoing culture war that we're seeing. And some of you might not even be engaged in this culture war. That's fair. But this is something that, again, I'm a fan of. This is a series I'm a fan of, and I enjoy. And the fact that people are trying to go and tear this thing apart before it even comes out. They're trying to undermine these developers and their story. Is really frustrating. When the important question should be, are they going to respect this series and its traditions? Are they going to make this game feel like it should? Or are they going to throw away the legacy and the fan base that they have for the sake of trying something new and different and radical and stuff that people just generally who are fans of Final Fantasy don't want? That's the important question to ask. But no, the most important question on these people's minds is what skin color are the characters? Unbelievable. Yet not surprising. It frustrates me to no end, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. This stuff is going to fade away. And when it does, you will see a complete about-face from these people. They will tell you how they really feel. They just won't do it when they think people are listening right now because they've got stuff to gain and they've got agendas to push. But gaming is not about those things. Gaming is about fun. End of story. But it doesn't mean I'm not sick of these articles. It doesn't mean I'm not sick of these people constantly running their mouths and thinking that they can speak for other people when they can only speak for themselves in their own specific ideological bubbles. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I'm looking forward to the game. Probably won't be able to play it because I don't have a PlayStation, so it'll probably be several months, but hopefully it turns out to be good. Hopefully this controversy will just blow over. Anyways, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. This has been Super Koopa. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.